You got into your car this morning, turned a key, pressed a pedal, and within seconds, you were moving at nearly 40 miles an hour without using much of your own strength. 300,000 years ago, that same trip could have meant 2 full days of walking barefoot across land with no roads, no signs, no idea what was waiting ahead. It could have been a pack of predators, a dry riverbed, or simply a journey you would never come back from. For almost all of human history, every journey was a gamble. And the only thing carrying you forward was your own 2 feet. Today, we cross oceans in a matter of hours. A package can travel halfway around the world before you even finish your week. Movement has become so effortless that it's almost invisible. But for roughly 300,000 years, every journey a human being ever made was measured 1 step at a time. Those slow, steady steps shaped almost everything. Where we hunted, where we settled, who we met, who we loved, even how large our world could become. And here's the strange part. Humans were never built to be the fastest. We couldn't outrun a cheetah. We weren't stronger than an ox, and we certainly couldn't match a horse at full speed. But evolution gave us something different, something far more powerful. The ability to keep going. Long after other animals had stopped. Long after exhaustion should have.
One step became another. Then another. Until millions of footsteps carried our species across deserts, mountains, forests, and eventually to every continent on Earth. Because the story of human civilization didn't begin with the wheel, or the ship, or the engine. It began the moment one of our ancestors looked beyond the horizon and decided to take one more step. Take a look at your feet. They don't seem particularly remarkable, but they are the product of millions of years of engineering. Every arch in your foot works like a spring. Each step stores energy, then releases it into the next one. The Achilles tendon does the same thing. Instead of forcing your muscles to do all the work, it recycles energy with every stride. Then there's something you can't even see. A thick ligament running along the back of your neck. It keeps your head steady while the rest of your body is moving. Without it, every step would make the world bounce. And then there's sweat. More than 2 million sweat glands spread across your skin. While most large mammals have to stop and cool down after a sprint, humans can keep moving, hour after hour, mile after mile. Not because we're the fastest, but because we're built to last. In 1978, archaeologist Mary Leakey uncovered something extraordinary in Laetoli, Tanzania. Footprints preserved in volcanic ash for 3.6 million years. They looked almost identical to yours. The same arch, the same heel strike, the same push from the toes. Long before cities, long before civilization, our ancestors were already masters of walking. Evolution wasn't preparing us to stay. It was preparing us to explore.
And around 70,000 years ago, they did, leaving Africa and over countless generations spreading across every continent on Earth. But walking had one limit: water. For hundreds of thousands of years, rivers and oceans marked the edge of the human world. Then, someone crossed them. Stone tools found on the Indonesian island of Flores, dating back 800,000 years, reveal an astonishing fact. The island was never connected to the mainland. Someone had already mastered open water. By 65,000 years ago, humans pushed even farther, crossing at least 60 miles of ocean to reach Australia on simple bamboo rafts, guided only by winds and courage. For the first time, water wasn't a barrier. It was a pathway. And around 3,000 years ago, the Polynesians proved just how far that pathway could lead. Using nothing but stars, ocean swells, birds, and clouds, they navigated thousands of miles across the Pacific, finding islands scattered across the largest ocean on Earth with a level of precision that still amazes scientists today.
Hawaii, Easter Island, New Zealand. And they did it without a compass, without a map, without metal instruments. So how did they know where they were going? They learned to read the ocean itself. The stars became their compass. Ocean swells became invisible highways. The flight of seabirds revealed land hidden beyond the horizon. Even clouds gave away the presence of distant islands, reflecting the lagoons beneath them. To most people, the Pacific looked empty. To a Polynesian navigator, it was filled with information. Every wave carried a message. Every wind had a pattern. Every sunrise confirmed a direction. They were wandering into the unknown. They were reading a language that modern humans have almost completely forgotten.
Their greatest technology wasn't built from wood. It was built from knowledge. Even after mastering land and learning to cross oceans, human beings still faced one brutal biological limit: weight. You could walk 20 miles in a day, but you couldn't carry hundreds of pounds of meat back to camp. Your body simply wasn't built for it. So instead of changing ourselves, we found partners. The first was the dog. More than 15,000 years ago, dogs became our first partners, helping pull loads too heavy for humans alone. But the real revolution arrived around 5,500 years ago, when the bow-tie people of Kazakhstan domesticated the horse. Archaeologists found the evidence in worn horse teeth left by bridles and traces of mare's milk preserved inside ancient pottery. For nearly 300,000 years, humans had traveled at walking speed. Then came the horse. Suddenly, journeys that once took days could be made in hours. Trade expanded, ideas spread, empires grew. For the first time, humanity was moving with borrowed power. Then came another surprise. Humans had already crossed oceans long before anyone invented the wheel. The oldest known wheel is only about 5,200 years old.
Without roads, a wheel was almost useless. It began as a simple potter's wheel. Only later did someone place it on an axle and change transportation forever. Paired with horses and roads, the wheel allowed ideas, goods, and civilizations to travel farther than ever before. But here's the remarkable part. The instinct that built our world didn't begin with the wheel. It began long before that. Even Neanderthals were crossing continents thousands of kilometers apart, following food, water, and survival. Movement is written into our DNA. Every road you drive, every train you board, every flight you take, they're all part of a journey that began hundreds of thousands of years ago, when one of our ancestors looked beyond the horizon and decided to take one more step.